So from there, we would go into screener surveys to give us an idea of who to interview. But basically, the next major step is user interviews, which is where you get the bulk of your information from. So, like I mentioned, screener surveys. Picking which user to interview is important. You should have done these screener surveys with questions that will help you filter depending on what your aim is. It could be a range of user types or a fixed persona that fits the majority of your users. Users that have the same problem well, it really depends on your goal. So also remember to save users during the screener survey. Don't use them all for your interviews because later on you might want to do things like card sorting, or you're definitely going to want to do usability testing. So you need to have people for those and try not to repeat people. Okay, so another thing is that quality over quantity, that is a major thing in user experience design, because sometimes, well, we tend to do things a lot in terms of data, which is like, you can track your website, you can track a lot of things and get massive amounts of data. But with user experience design, what we're looking at is low quality, it's qualitative data, which really takes time. You're going to have to sit down and really work out, understand your user properly. So you'll definitely get a lot of repeat answers, even in the few interviews that you're going to do. So I'd say 8 is a good number of users. Even the biggest companies interview in like single digits a lot of the time for individual things at least. Yep. So another thing is like we try to focus on the idea of lean UX, which is like fast working, work at the lowest fidelity that you can so that you can get things done as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, making sure that everything is going well at each phase and you can change something before it becomes too big of a deal. Yep. So really listen to what your users have to say. It's kind of the customer is always right type of thing. Don't do what they tell you to do as well. Pay attention to where their desire stems from rather than just acting on, say, they want something specific. You gotta work out where that's coming from and why they want that, and then work out what would be best. Because, you are the designer, not your users. Okay, so in these interviews, I suggest doing this thing called the 4-list method, where you would basically ask them to write out, before you even talk to them, just ask them to just stream of consciousness type of write out things that are sorted according to their pain points, pleasure points, context, and behavior, because these are 4 things that are really good to focus your interviews on. And by making sure that they write it out before you even talk to them, you're kind of ensuring that you're at least that page that they would have written stuff on would be, in a sense, unbiased, and it gives you something to read and probe them based off of, as you're interviewing them. And also ask them to tell you specifically about the last time they did something rather than asking for general information, because when you ask someone like, oh, how often do you use something, they're going to give you this really random ballpark type of answer, which a lot of the times is also not just not accurate, it tends to just be not true a lot of the times as well, because they want to make you happy. They want to say, oh yes, I use your product. But if you ask them to tell you specifically, you'll avoid getting those vague answers, and you'll kind of avoid a bit of their desire to say what they think you want to hear. It'll keep things more focused on facts, because, when you have to retell something, you're working so hard to remember it that you're not focusing on pleasing the person as much. Yep, so a lot of the time we have our own ideas of what we would like or what we expect to hear from our users, but please do not push this. Listen to what the users choose to share with you. That's what they think is important, and that's what is important.